She talks about my record. For 5 years, I was the chief prosecutor, prosecuting people who went to prison, many of whom were then deported.
Is obvious, but border security is equally obvious in my view, and that's why I've said we are committed to bringing down immigration. That I wake up every morning thinking I've got a mandate to change the country. I've got a mandate to improve living standards. I've got a mandate to improve the health service.
Another Labour MP caught in a WhatsApp scandal. You might think politicians would learn, but it seems some just can't help themselves. Oliver Ryan's involvement in the Trigger Me Timbers group has opened a can of worms for Labour. But this isn't just about one MP's poor judgment. It's a symptom of a deeper rot within the party. How many more are implicated? And what does this say about the culture Keir Starmer is fostering? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. As we peel back the layers of Labour's digital facade, we uncover a cesspool of controversy lurking beneath. The Trigger Me Timbers WhatsApp group, initially exposed through Andrew Gwynn's suspension, has now ensnared a second Labour MP, Oliver Ryan. This digital den of iniquity has become a ticking time bomb for the party, threatening to obliterate their carefully crafted public image. But what exactly transpired within this virtual enclave? The messages shared among group members paint a disturbing picture of bigotry and callousness. Sexist remarks about Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner mingled with racist comments targeting Labour MP Diane Abbott. As if that weren't enough to turn stomachs, anti-Semitic statements also found their way into the mix. The group's depravity reached new lows when Andrew Gwynn reportedly joked about an elderly woman's death, showcasing a shocking disregard for human dignity.
He appointed a person convicted of fraud to the cabinet. The first thing she did was bung hundreds of millions of pounds in pay rises to her trade union friends.
No income tax, no national insurance, no VAT.
Means that this budget raises taxes by £40 billion.
The Labour Party, caught with its proverbial pants down, has scrambled to do damage control. A party spokesperson, likely sweating bullets, reiterated their commitment to high standards and assured the public that an investigation into the WhatsApp group's contents is underway. But can we really trust these hollow words when their own members are caught red-handed, spewing such vile rhetoric? This scandal exposes a gaping chasm between Labour's public persona and the private conduct of its members. On one side, we have a party that champions inclusivity, respect, and social justice. On the other, we find a festering wound of prejudice and insensitivity. How can voters reconcile these two conflicting realities? The disconnect is jarring, to say the least. The potential fallout from this digital debacle could be catastrophic for Labour. Voter trust, already hanging by a thread thanks to years of broken promises and policy flip-flops, may finally snap under the weight of this revelation. The party's credibility, painstakingly rebuilt after previous scandals, now lies in tatters. How can Labour claim to represent the interests of all Britons when its own members engage in such reprehensible behaviour behind closed doors?
Speaker, he can try and change the topic as much as he likes, but the public are watching. He owes them an explanation. The country needs conviction politicians, not politicians with conviction.
Are fully costed and fully funded. And that means no tax rises for working people. We're not going to be raising tax on working people.
As this scandal continues to unfold, one can't help but wonder, how deep does this rot go? With two Labour MPs already implicated, are we merely scratching the surface of a much larger problem? The involvement of Oliver Ryan suggests that this isn't just a case of one bad apple spoiling the bunch. Could there be more party members waiting to be exposed, their digital footprints leading straight to this offensive WhatsApp group? The rot in Labour's ranks runs deeper than we thought. Andrew Gwynn's dismissal was just the tip of the iceberg. Now, as Oliver Ryan's name emerges from the muck, we're left asking, how many more Labour MPs are hiding in the shadows of this vile WhatsApp group? Ryan's connection to Andrew Gwynn is more than just a coincidence. Gwynn wasn't just a senior Labour MP, he was Ryan's former employer. This close professional relationship raises alarming questions about the influence Gwyn may have had on Ryan's behaviour within the group. Did Gwyn's position of authority create an environment where offensive content was not only tolerated, but encouraged? The Labour Party's internal investigation promises answers, but can we trust it to uncover the full extent of this scandal?
Is that because you fear failure?
No, Beth. The way we've constructed it is that there are foundational things that a government must do.
Frankly, no, seriously, I think we're let down by all sides of the parties.
I think they've got the right intentions, but they're struggling to get their message across, I think, is the problem.
As the party scrambles to save face, one can't help but wonder, is this the beginning of the end for Keir Starmer's leadership, or merely another bump in Labour's rocky road? The repercussions of this scandal are already being felt. Gwyn's swift dismissal and suspension were just the opening act. Now, with Ryan's admission of involvement, the spotlight is firmly on Labour's handling of internal misconduct. How will party leadership respond to this growing crisis? Will they sweep it under the rug, or will heads continue to roll? Keir Starmer has promised decisive action against any member who fails to meet the party's ethical standards. But what are those standards exactly? And how many more MPs might find themselves on the wrong side of that line? The involvement of 2 MPs suggests this isn't an isolated incident. It's a pattern of behaviour that calls into question the very culture within the Labour Party. Gwyn's attempt at damage control speaks volumes. His statement, "I deeply regret my badly misjudged comments and apologise for any offence I've caused," reeks of political spin. It's the classic non-apology apology, focused more on the offence caused than the actual wrongdoing. But will this be enough to save his career? And more importantly, will it be enough to stem the tide of public outrage?
I will defend our decisions in the budget all day long. I will defend facing up to the harsh light of fiscal reality.
She campaigned to remove the cap on migrant worker visas, and now she pretends she's furious about the open borders policy of the last government.
As for Ryan, his failure to challenge the inappropriate content in the group is damning. It's not enough to simply be present in such a toxic environment. Silence in the face of racism, sexism, and anti-Semitism is tantamount to complicity. His involvement raises serious questions about his judgment and fitness for office. The potential for more Labour MPs to be implicated looms large. Each new revelation threatens to expose more cracks in the party's facade. How many more names will be dragged through the mud before this is over? And what will be left of Labour's credibility when the dust settles? The Labour Party's WhatsApp scandal has exposed a deep-rooted crisis of integrity that goes far beyond individual misconduct. It's a stark reminder of the yawning gulf between public promises and private actions in politics. Voters are increasingly demanding greater transparency and accountability from their representatives, and rightly so. The disconnect between Labour's public image and the private behaviour of its members has left many feeling betrayed and disillusioned. But what can we, as citizens, do about this? It's time to take action. Engage in local politics, participate in community forums, and hold your representatives accountable through petitions and public discourse. Don't let them off the hook. The power to change the political landscape lies in our hands. By demanding transparency and actively participating in the democratic process, we can help bridge the gap between what politicians say and what they actually do behind closed doors.